In the second session of the afternoon, we are starting with a presentation from Mr. Osman bin Sam, a senior lecturer at Singapore Polytechnic, to give a presentation on the object and intelligent training and assessment package for a maritime training in simulator. So can you ask him to start? Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm Captain Osman from Center of Excellence in Maritime Safety, Singapore Polytechnic. I will present the paper that we have shared in this conference, titled Objective and Intelligent Training and Assessment Package for Maritime Training Using Simulator. In this presentation, we will look into the rationale and the objective in undertaking this project, the existing issue that we may have with the current simulator training and assessment, the methodology that we have adopted for this project, and in conclusion, the benefits that we as trainers and assessors would gain from this proposed simulation package. What is the rationale in undertaking this project? Singapore is one of the busiest ports in the world, and navigating in and around Singapore waters and straits have always been challenging. Being flanked on all sides by Malaysia and Indonesia, there is a limited availability of navigable waters along Singapore straits. So much so that we can expect areas of traffic congestion and the high risk of near misses and incidents in congested waters, especially near the pilot boarding ground and the traffic separation scheme. The question we have here, are the existing measures that have been put in place to ensure safety of navigation within Singapore waters and the Singapore Straits adequate? Well, the answer to this question that we will get will depend on whom do we direct this question to. Regardless of the answers, the point at issue is that if there's any tools that are available to augment safe navigation, then we should make those tools or means available. Also, is the existing inbuilt assessment package for simulation training in evaluating the navigation competence adequate and relevant? Can we augment the existing simulation training and assessment? To ensure effectiveness and consistency in training, it is essential that the training and assessments are guided by certain standards so that the delivery and rigor of training and assessment would be of similar intensity regardless of the occasion and the personnel who conducts the training or the assessment. Currently, the existing inbuilt assessment is not so flexible as the conditions that are set in training and assessment do not take into consideration the change in traffic density, speed of ship, visibility, and area of navigation. With the existing system, human intervention is required. This, however, may compromise objectivity. This proposed auto-assessment package will be able to overcome this disparity, and the disposition of simulator training and assessment would take a form that is close as possible to the real shipboard scenarios. We believe that there's always room to enhance and augment the existing simulation training and assessment package, and ideally, such enhancements should take into consideration the safe practices that are carried on board. With this in mind, we have identified the critical elements that should be considered for safe navigation, and amongst them are CPA, the safe passing distance from navigational aids, and UKC. Safe standards for this navigational element will be programmed into the software, and the system will sense any changes in the navigational and environmental conditions. And finally, the simulation package will automatically generate a training and evaluation report showing details of trainees' performance during exercise. The development of this package can be divided into two distinct phases. Phase one is the development of the assessment rules based on the safe standards that were derived from safe shipboard practices. The target for phase 1 is to set a baseline of a common practice at sea, data of which were obtained from online surveys. Phase 2 is the development of the software program that includes the development of several assessment modules, such as CPA under different traffic densities and visibility, minimum distance from other vessels, rate of turn at different speeds, and loading condition. The online survey consists of questionnaire requesting essential responses to allow us to gather and analyze the data to arrive at a recommended safe standard to be used in simulator training and assessment. The online survey was distributed to practicing ships officers and those ashore who have performed navigation along the Singapore Straits. Amongst the parameters that we have included in the online surveys are speed of ship in different traffic density, different conditions of visibility and different sea areas, CPA, UKC, means or method of positioning, rate of turn, and condition of near misses and dangerous situation. An example of one of the navigational parameters that is being investigated in a risk of collision situation during the transit. What CPA would the navigator seem to be safe and appropriate when passing ahead of the other vessel? Here, 3 broad factors are analyzed from the data collected for this question, namely the CPA, the ship's type, and the ship's length. To ensure the robustness and veracity of the survey data collected and hence on the standard derived at, the survey data were compared with the AIS data. The comparison for the investigated question has been summarized in the table shown on the left. It shows the minimum, maximum, mean values, and standard deviation, from which we can see that the mean CPA values derived from AIS is smaller than the values collated from the survey responses. For example, for container ships of all lengths, the mean AIS value is 1.04 miles, and from the survey, it is 1.16 miles. We had also applied 3 weighting schemes to different respondents as shown in table on the top right. This is to investigate if there's any significant difference in the responses when different weightings are assumed for respective designation, that is the master of the ship, the chief officer, trainers, and others. The result for the same question, but with different weighting scheme, are shown in the table bottom right. It was noted that the difference in weighted average value for different categories of ships in terms of length is insignificant. Based on analysis and findings, a reference standard of 1 nautical mile for CPA will be used in the simulation training and assessment when passing ahead of a ship in a collision avoidance situation. The same methodology is used to derive at other standards. These are templates of the report on the exercise. The recommended and assessment value in the assessment rules are all editable. During the exercise, the system will capture the data derived from the trainee's action and make comparison with the values that have been set in the assessment rules. And at the end of the exercise, a report is automatically generated by the system based on the action of the trainees. In conclusion, the simulation package provides a practical solution with a high degree of consistency in training and assessment. And the assessment criteria are derived based on a real safe shipboard practices. Evaluation of trainees requires minimum intervention from the trainers and assessors, and hence it is very objective and leads to a very high degree of consistency. The minimal intervention required from the trainer and assessors will allow the trainer and assessors more time to better evaluate other aspects of training, such as situational awareness and measure of human-machine interface. I have come to the end of my presentation, and we are ready to accept any question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. Now, can I ask the floor? Is there any question to Mr. Sam, please? Okay, and I think your presentation was also very clear. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Sam.
Thank you very much.